Good evening, wonderful people. I hope you had a lovely day and you're relaxing or resting well. This is some real breaking news. This is an update to the Charlie Kirk assassination cover-up. And I'll tell you what, after you hear this, I think you'll agree with me that we need an immediate investigation, and we also need a suspension of FBI Director Kash Patel, along with Attorney General Pam Bondi, along with the governor of Utah, and that would be Cox. And probably the chief of police. Was the sheriff involved? The sheriff? The university, likely, because they probably have video or know something and they're not telling us. And Donald Trump. Anyway, please take a listen and tell me what you think. And if you think that this could be real, which I do believe this is real, please share.
I called the Phoenix FBI the day that Charlie was shot. What I interpreted from reading what he was saying, I could tell that there was an urgency. He was aware that he was in danger. He started talking about Charlie Kirk. And I said, well, you know, he's a good kid and stuff. And he goes, yeah, well, he's been slotted for termination. I said, oh, really? You know, and I called the FBI. I called the FBI in Utah. I called the FBI. I called the Phoenix FBI the day that Charlie was shot. What I interpreted from reading what he was saying, I could tell that there was an urgency. He was aware that he was in danger. He started talking about Charlie Kirk. And I said, well, you know, he's a good kid and stuff. And he goes, yeah, well, he's been slotted for termination. I said, oh, really?
One of Charlie Kirk's friends, there's a phone call that just got leaked of Charlie Kirk's friend alleging, and he's not alleging, stating that Charlie Kirk told him in December of 2024, so essentially about a year ago, that he not only feared for his life, but that essentially he didn't trust his security team and the people that was around him. Now, we've heard these rumors. Now, let me just state for the record, this guy is not from Turning Point USA, which isn't surprising at all. This is apparently a guy that's known Charlie Kirk since 2011. And he wasn't able to help Charlie. And the reason he gave that he wasn't able to help Charlie Kirk is even suspicious in itself, because he gives a story about how he believes that the people that were around Charlie Kirk or affiliated with what may have happened to Charlie Kirk strategically had him removed and placed in a position where he couldn't help Charlie Kirk. His channel, shout out to you, bro. You and I have been talking a little bit behind the scenes. He was the person to bring this to my attention, and I vetted this phone call. It's not AI. They're discernment. This sounds like a real conversation. I believe it. And this falls in line with so many different things. Without further ado, let's get into it.
I have known Charlie Kirk for a number of years. Him and I have communicated over the years extensively, from everything from politics to girls.
Let me stop you for 1 second. I just want to make you aware that I do record all my calls. If you ask me to keep you it,
I was hoping you would. That's fine. And so anyway, over the years, I'll just give you a little background to who I am. I'm part of the original crew of Oath Keepers, okay, dating back to 2009. And I first met Charlie in 2011 when he was just a kid. I think he was like 16. I met his dad. And anyway, Arizona. It was the Courtside Liberty Festival in Arizona in 2011. In August of 2011. It was quite hot down there, 117 degrees. But there was an issue down there. And so I put on a rally down there and had several dignitaries there, state senators and so forth, a candidate for governor at the time, Barry Hess, and different things. And anyway, that's how him and I met. So over the years, we communicated, you know, via text, via social media and stuff like that. And anyway, fast forward to December of last year. I had just recently moved back down to Arizona from Northern California. Now, I'm 55 years old, but I was coming back down to Arizona from Redding, moving back down here to Arizona. And this was December. Anyway, I got pneumonia really, really bad. The Legionnaire's pneumonia. And so Charlie sends me a text one night, a message. Now, these are, what I'm telling you, these are all, there's receipts for. In his DMs and mine. I don't have access to my old account, but in his account, they're there. no doubt. So anyway, he contacted me, and he was very adamant about me helping him with security. And he was almost like, how do I put this? The way he was, what I interpreted from reading what he was saying, I could tell that there was an urgency. He was aware that he was in danger, is what I interpreted, as how I interpreted it. I said, well, hey, we just had the election. I'm sick. We'll get together soon. Okay. Now this is like right before Christmas time. Well, finally on January the 6th, I ended up going to the emergency room at Australia, Banner Health, Australia, on 92nd Avenue here in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay. And that's where they found out that I had the Legionnaire's pneumonia and stuff like that. So I told them, I said, hey man, we're going to have to put this off because I'm really sick. So we were scheduled to meet in Phoenix on the 25th of January, okay? On the 22nd of January, as I'm still going through all this, a person that I had only met maybe for a couple weeks was a neighbor of mine, and him and I and my girlfriend at the time had dinner that night. Well, this was the 22nd, 2 days after Trump got into the office. Well, this guy and I had a heated conversation afterwards about politics, okay? And he was a member of the academia. He told me he was a former police officer at one time. He was a professor at colleges. He told me that he had educated 400 plus teachers in the Arizona area, yada, yada, yada. Anyway,
this guy was your neighbor, you're saying?
Yeah, and I had only known him for, like I said, maybe 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, because I was sick. Anyway, and all I know is his first name was Mike. I don't remember his last name at all. Couldn't even remember. I tried to find him. But anyway, so the conversation got really heated. He started talking about Charlie Kirk. And I said, well, he's a good kid and stuff. And he goes, yeah, well, he's been slotted for termination. I said, oh, really? So then the conversation really got heated. And he told me I had been slotted for reprogramming. So then now my antennas are up like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Okay, the fight went down.
I just want to say here, that person sounds like more than just someone in academia.
And the ironic thing is, I ended up getting arrested for quote-unquote domestic violence. They charged me with a misdemeanor.
Oh, so you got in a fight with the guy?
Yeah, I got in a fight with the guy because I didn't appreciate it. He was over at my house having dinner. Then he starts, talking all this crazy stuff about, and then goes into Kirk and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, now I'm pissed off because I've known Charlie for a number of years. He's a good kid.
Yeah.
And so the fight goes down. Next morning, I'm arrested. So I'm in jail, okay? That Saturday, the 25th, is when we were supposed to meet, Charlie and I, okay? If you get into his DMs, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's all there. The receipts are there. But here's what the question needs to be asked. One is this. What did Charlie know in December? What is it that he knew that he was so concerned that he had to reach out to me? Now, I had never done security for him. I had never done security for him at any of his rallies, okay? But he knew who I was, obviously, over the years. He knew what I had done. I mean, the courts I was down, I had 3 different separate security teams there because I had dignitaries and so forth. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got shot. So he reached, that was the point. But he reaches out to me. So the question is what was it that he knew to make him reach out to me to help him with security? He even offered to pay me. I said, son, don't worry about it. I don't need the money. I wouldn't do that I wouldn't help you for money, And so anyway, so there's the first question. The second question is this. If that person said that Charlie Kirk had been slotted for termination, okay, Tyler may have pulled the trigger. But what I'm saying is
what it sounds to me like is somebody that was in the know that knew that you were supposed to meet Charlie made it a point to make sure you didn't go to that meeting. They were intentionally sent to where you were to rile you up and to get you arrested. That way you could not keep your meeting with Charlie.
That's exactly what happened.
Now, you mean to tell me there's an infamous video of Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk, and the TPUSA crew celebrating on camera on the Charlie Kirk show?
Can I just say, this right here, this is so sad. He really did love the man that they put forward to win the election. The one that vowed to take down the elitist pedophiles and traffickers. And, drain the swamp. It's so sad. They were all pawns. And Charlie Kirk was like a sacrifice. I mean, it's so sad, but they used him and then they terminated him when they were finished with him. Like he was worth nothing. Like he had no value. Like he was somehow lesser than them. And the people who did it to him, and for what? Power and money, huh? Power and money, and who knows what else. I don't want to know what else. God help us.
Once the news came, just a month later, you're contacting people because you feel so much in fear of your life that you don't trust the people that surround you. That's strange. That's weird, and that's concerning. But it's consistent with what we've been hearing. Harrison Smith, good friend of somebody that's friends with Charlie, stated that just a month before, he said that he feels that foreign nation was going to kill him. Candace Owens has come out and said there were 3 people that said that Charlie Kirk literally said the same exact thing the day before everything happened. Candace Owens, once again, showed a text message of Charlie Kirk saying that years ago, but that may be a little.
And remember, Netanyahu got on to the CIA, Mossad news network and gaslit everybody who thought that perhaps Israel had something to do with the assassination, because just prior to the assassination, Charlie Kirk was starting to change his tune regarding Israel. In fact, I would say that he was no longer pro-Israel.
Unrelated, but he stated that he felt like he wasn't going to live that long. Essentially, them alluding to the fact that Tyler Robinson did not act alone, which I believe many people are under that impression, or some people are even willing to go as far to say that they believe that Tyler Robinson may just be a patsy altogether. Now, back to the first question, I'm going to tell.
Yes, I believe he's a patsy. In fact, he could be a victim. He could be a super soldier, and he could be a victim of the mind control. We have no idea. Or he could simply be a bad actor. We just don't know.
So the first question is, why did Charlie go so early to reach out to me? He even offered me money after all these years of knowing him to help him with the security. There's your first question. The second question is, if Tyler pulled the trigger and this guy said this to me in December, obviously there was a plot.
Yeah, from what we've seen, they've been planning this for a long time.
Yes. So, and I called the FBI. I called the FBI in Utah. I called the FBI. I called the Phoenix FBI the day that Charlie was shot.
And nobody's contacted you from there.
And nobody's contacted me back. I contacted the FBI field office in Salt Lake City, and nobody has called me back.
Wow. Yeah, but that seems to be a recurring theme here. Every one of these people that have witnessed it or I've talked to or whatever that have evidence, they say they've called the FBI or nobody's, even the people that were there that day and saw it and are witnesses. They tell us that the FBI never got their witness statement, never called them, never tried to contact them. Like, I don't know how they're building this rock solid case against Tyler Robinson when they haven't even spoken to the damn witnesses on the ground that day.
And that's before the judge put out the gag order that said that they weren't allowed to speak, which is very odd to put that on 3,000 people that you can't even fully identify. Sometimes the smallest details can be the most damning or the most important details. The footage of Tyler Robinson, quote unquote, turning himself in has went missing.
This is wild. Salt Lake City KUTV is now reporting that the surveillance footage of Tyler Robinson turning himself into authorities is missing. 2 News filed a public records request asking for this footage, and they got this response. Quote, "We do not have any records responsive to this portion of the request, as Tyler Robinson did not go to or enter the jail area." Which is weird because it was public national news that Tyler Robinson surrendered at the sheriff's office. He was taken into a building.
So, at this point, I don't know what you're thinking, but I am thinking that it is really quite evident that this is another case of the FBI murdering American citizens. You know, this is like another Viola or Vicky, or, you know, many of the other countless American citizens who have fallen victim to the FBI.
That Tyler Robinson surrendered at the sheriff's office. He was taken into a building marked authorized personnel only. Robinson was kept in the back offices of the sheriff's office and turned over to the FBI and other law enforcement upon their arrival just before 6 a.m. on Friday. So where is this footage? And remember, authorities knew that he was turning himself in because they had negotiated a gentle surrender. So you have to wonder now, did it ever exist?
Wait, why would they negotiate a gentle surrender?
Were cameras turned off, or did this footage go missing?
Did it ever happen to begin with? Right?
Exactly. And Tyler Robinson, let's just assume he was the shooter. And I'm actually going to believe that he was the shooter. But okay, that's fine. We can put it all on that as him being the shooter. But he is not the one that had this plot in motion, because Charlie was aware of it in December. So, you know, these little messages, you know, little signs and so forth. But nonetheless, those are my questions. What did Charlie know that was so urgent for him to reach out to me, who was 55? I had retired from the scene as far as the Oath Keepers go, a number of years ago, actually. You know, I tried to warn everybody about Ray S. with Stewart. I tried to tell him, hey, this guy's not good. Well, he was there. You know, we all know what Ray S. is. Now we all know the FBI was involved in J6.
Yep.
But that's besides the point. The point is that Charlie reached out to me. He was concerned. He was adamant. I mean, he was texting me the whole time I was laying on bed with pneumonia.
Yeah, he clearly did not, you know, he was having trust issues, it seemed like, maybe with the security.
There was something going on. He was
Or his wife?
aware of it. He was aware of it. And that was in December. So, you know, from that point until the time he was killed, the plot was already in motion.
Yep.
Now, here's the deal. They wouldn't let his team, quote unquote, fly drones that day. Am I right or wrong?
That's what they said, but that's
Right.
a lie. They even posted on Charlie's birthday, and they've taken it down since after I called them out on it. Now they're trying to pretend like it didn't happen. But on Charlie's birthday, they even posted a tribute video, and in that tribute video, they posted a short, like 9-second section of the drone footage that they took that day.
Yeah, that's what.
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly right. And it just makes the whole thing look even more shady, and it almost makes you question if they're contradicting themselves on purpose. Maybe they're not. When you got the head of security coming out weeks and weeks later after Frank Turek has already come out on camera, not to mention the video footage that they're referencing, and said himself that drone footage was used. Now the head of security is interviewing with a
Actually, there was a man who contacted the university, got his hands on some camera footage from, you know, the skies above and the campus below during the assassination, during Charlie's, you know, event. And in that footage, he saw a drone and provided those photos to another YouTuber who I can't recall his name.
CIA agent, because there is no such thing as ex-CIA, stating that they weren't allowed to.
That's exactly what I'm alluding to.
There was also an ex-CIA agent YouTuber who is claiming the whole thing was faked and it was a blood bag and not to worry, it's all part of the plan, blah, blah, blah. Sounds like controlled opposition to me. Hey, I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm just letting you know what I think.
Now, here's the deal. When we did every security event that I ever did throughout Arizona from 2011 to 2013, there was quite a bit of stuff going on during that time. I had drones in the sky. I had the police, the chief of them, well, I had them there anyway. I think the chief of police telling me, oh, you can't have that, you can't have drones. Well, okay, right, I won't have any drones. But I had drones up in the air. Yep. And I always had 3 different separate teams, okay? So when I did security for events, and in the Earth Keeper's hat, throughout my career, nobody was ever hurt. There's a reason for that because of the way I did it. And I think that's the reason why Charlie reached out to me. Charlie was scared in December. He was scared. So anyway, I'm glad to be able to get that off of my chest. Like I said, I've tried talking to the FBI. I've tried to tell them, and nobody wants to listen. So, nobody wants to call me, what have you. So now you have full disclosure. You're welcome to do that information with whatever you like.
Yeah, we'll definitely try to run it down.
Okay, so I did have communication with him. I loved him, and it hurts me that he's gone. And the fact that, like I said, there's 2 questions that should be asked. 1, what did he know in December? And 2, why did he reach out to...
So let's pray for all who are trying to help, who are afraid. God does not give us a spirit of fear. Give them courage and protection. Please, Lord, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And I think that's the reason why Charlie reached out to me. Charlie was scared in December. He was scared. So anyway, I'm glad to be able to get that off of my chest. Like I said, I've tried talking to the FBI. I've tried to tell them, and nobody wants to listen. So, nobody wants to call me, what have you. So now you have full disclosure. You're welcome to do that information with whatever you like.
Yeah, we'll definitely try to run it down.
Okay, so I did have communication with him. I loved him, and it hurts me that he's gone. And the fact that, like I said, there's 2 questions that should be asked. 1, what did he know in December? And 2, why did he reach out to me?
Maybe that would further explain TPUSA and the members at TPUSA's strange behavior. Regardless of platform, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, if they're posting the amazing, magnificent Mikey McCoy, Rob McCoy, Andrew Covid, any of them, the conglomerates themselves, TPUS Faith, TPUSA Action, TPUSA itself, any platform they post, they're getting shredded in the comment section. People asking for Mikey McCoy's call log. Why is it that they're not responding to these people? Why is it that they're hosting podcast shows and they're talking about everything but what the people would like to hear about? Why? Maybe they're afraid for their life. Maybe because all the things that are blatantly obvious to us, they're aware of it. Maybe that would explain why Andrew Covid sent that text thread to the government, because he felt like it would be important. When Charlie said that he felt, no other choice but to leave the pro-foreign nations cause. That one Middle Eastern country that I don't like to name. Maybe that's why. I'm just giving them the benefit of the doubt. Now, if I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt, let me keep it funky with you. It is possible. I am not saying that this is true. Allegedly, I am saying that it's possible that Charlie Kirk was aware that he was being used as a catalyst or as a vessel or maybe even as a Trojan horse to push the country in a particular direction, change the narrative around Donald Trump. Notice I didn't say help Donald Trump get elected, because I have my own personal opinions about presidents being elected and selected. But helping the country see Donald Trump in a particular light, helping the country see Kamala Harris in a particular light. Once Donald Trump was elected, just the following month, allegedly, according to this guy, Charlie Kirk was already making phone calls and making DMs, trying to get other people around him because he felt unsafe and there was some shady stuff going on. Maybe some of that shady stuff Charlie Kirk understood was that he was no longer needed. Trump was back in the White House and he would probably become more of a liability. Maybe that's a possibility. Maybe it's also possible that Charlie Kirk realized that Turning Point USA was being used to do other things with their finances. He didn't understand where the money was coming from, and maybe some of that money was coming from billionaires and organizations and conglomerates.
Or child trafficking.
From behind the scenes, that it was very hard to pinpoint who they are, how to identify them, because that money was being used to do other things, which would further explain the
child trafficking.
Planes that were following them. What could the planes have been doing? I don't know. Maybe the illegal movement of human bodies, if you follow my drift. Maybe the illegal movement or of other things. Allegedly, I'm not saying that this happened. What if is what I'm saying. Charlie Kirk found this out. If you have seen my video or if you've yet to see my video with the TPUSA auditor, Brian, I would highly recommend you go and check it out.